Hi there, I'm Erica with a Needle and Thread, and today's video is the second video in a series to learn how to make the so kind of wonderful Posh Blossom quilt. You can see that in the shot behind me. Now, last week we talked about the fabrics, the fabric choices. We looked at how to cut, and if you remember when we left off, I had a bunch of pieces cut just like this. We have the inner curve and we have the outer curve. So in this lesson today, we're going to look at how to put those two together to make a square. And those squares will come together to make that fabulous design quilt that you see on the wall right now. So let's walk over to the quilt and take a look at how it's all put together. So in this week's video, what we're going to work on is to do the sewing, the pressing, and the trimming of the blocks. What blocks am I talking about? Last week we cut, right? We did an inner curve and we did an outer curve. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. I have a red outer curve here and a pink inner curve there. Now, what we are going to do today is do this curve using the So Kind of Wonderful technique, which does not require any pinning, and that is what is so nice about this technique. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, easing your fabric together so that you don't have to pin and everything comes out nicely. The thing about the process, though, is that the block itself, once it's all sewn together, it ends up being a little bit big. And so after we press it, then I'm going to show you exactly how to use that same So Kind of Wonderful ruler, the quick curve ruler, to square it up. It's going to be so nice. And once we have it squared, then they're all going to fit together so nicely. And it's going to be easy to zip them back together. Now let's figure out how I had this before. So the first thing that we need to do when we are getting ready to put our inner curve together with our outer curve is to mark the top edge of the outer curve. We're going to line up the top edge of the inner curve half an inch down from the top edge. So I need to mark that. Now in today's video, I'm going to do 4 pieces. I'm going to make 4 blocks for you. So I have 4 individual pieces that I'm going to put together. So here we are. Let's go ahead and mark them. I just have a simple square ruler. There's my ½ inch mark there, and I'm just going to mark it with my friction pen right there. Now I don't mind using the friction pen, Pilot's friction pen, because I know that it will erase when I take it over to the ironing board. So I'll quickly measure ½ inch on each one of these, because that's the mark, that's the place where I need to line up this kind of sewing that we're going to do is conducive to batch sewing, which is why I'm doing 4 of them at one time, because we are going to batch sew them. So the way we're going to put it together is line up the ½ inch mark that I've made at the top of my outer curve. This is my concave side, and I'm going to line it up with the top left corner of my inner curve and fold them over like this. Remember, there is no need at all to pin. I'm going to line it up like this. Now notice only a small portion of my inner curve, my convex piece, is making contact with the edge. That's okay, that's the way you want it. We're going to take it over to the machine and I'm going to show you exactly how to sew those together. So now we're at the machine, and I'm going to go ahead and line up, you can see it really well right here, line up my 1/2 inch spot with the corner of my convex piece, just like that. I'm using a 1/4 inch seam allowance as usual, and I'm using a 1/4 inch foot because, well, that's a good quilting foot to use. As I sew, I'm going to watch right here and make sure that the fabrics come together right in this space here. As I sew, I'm going to watch right here to make sure that the fabrics come together right here. I don't mind so much if they are not together here, but it matters up here close to the needle, okay? So I'm going to take a few steps. Okay, now I'm going to hold my convex piece up and my concave piece in my right hand, and I'm going to just slide them together as I stitch along. Make sure that as you're doing this, you do not pull. Don't pull and tug. We are working with curved edges, and they love to stretch out. So you don't want to make any stretching, tugging motions. Here we go. Look at how easily they go together and not a pin in sight, right? Look at that. Okay, so as I get to the end here, these two pieces, I'm running out of space to hold on. So I'm going to bring them together. And I'm going to have my little tool right here to just kind of keep them together as we go along. Okay, let's see how we did. There. And in just a moment, we're going to go over to the ironing board, and you're going to see just how nicely this lays flat. Let's try it again. I'm going to do it again with another color. Okay, so check it out. In no time flat, we got 4 of our blocks put together. You can see they do curl a little bit, which is natural. But when we press it, that's going to come all out. And I have a good 1/4 inch seam allowance going all the way around on each one of my pieces. Okay? A good 1/4 inch seam allowance running all the way around. So what I'm going to show you is how to press them. I'm using my nice wool pressing mat here. And the way you press these, the way you press these is so that your seam allowance tucks under the big inner curve. So I'm going to run my iron around that curve gently, just like that. And then just gently, whoops, flip. There we go. Look how nice that turned out. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I really am. Now this block, for as lovely as it is too big. We actually want it to be smaller. It's going to measure 6.5 inches. So in just a second, I'm going to show you how to square it up. Here we go with the second one. It's amazing to think that the quilt itself, for as large and as complex as it looks, really is going together very quickly. All right, so let's go and square them up to 6.5 inches. So now we have a nice stack of our squares. Inner curve, outer curve, stitched together and pressed, and it's a nice curve. Now, our next step is to use our quick curve ruler. Our next step is to use our quick curve ruler to square up our block. Remember, it's supposed to be 6.5 inches square. And what we have here is a little bit larger. The ruler is wonderful because it gives extra markings to help to square up pieces like this. There's a solid line, 1/8 of an inch from the edge. 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And if we line that up with where your curve ends, then you can have a nice square block, okay? From here, I'm just going to trim off. Look, that's not even much. I'm going to trim this one as well. Very easy. Now, once it's trimmed on those two sides, then I'm going to rotate my piece, my block, 180 degrees. And I want it to be 6.5 inches. Okay, so here's the 1/2 inch. Follow the line there. 6.5 is there. And now what we're left with is a beautifully cut, clean 6.5 inch square. Okay, let's do another one. We're going to just breeze right through these. And here you have the finished product. All of your pieces are cut, trimmed up to be the exact same size. The only thing left is now to put them all in the quilt. So there you have it. Okay, we've been through so many steps. We looked at the quilt on the wall and how it is actually made up of these two pieces, blocks made out of these two pieces. Now, once we went to the sewing machine and stitched it together, took it to the iron, pressed it on this fabulous wool pressing mat, and then took it back over to the cutting table, squared it up into a 6.5 inch square. So now we look at our before and our after. It goes together so very quickly. It's so easy and so much fun. So what we're gonna do now is take a little break. I'm gonna finish up this quilt, get all of my blocks done, and then the next time you see me, we're gonna have all the blocks together and we'll sew those squares together. And I'm gonna talk to you about how to press each one of those blocks so that the seams don't get too bulky. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope that you'll come back and check out the next one when I post it. It should be about a week before I post the next one, and you're gonna get to see the entire quilt put together. It is so awesome. So I hope you guys will go back and watch this video, and I really hope that it will inspire you to grab one of these quick curve rulers by So Kind of Wonderful and cut up some fabric, some curves of your own to put together one of these really awesome Posh Blossom quilts. I'll see you the next time.